everybody. Thank you so much for visiting me on my channel today. Today I'm really excited to take part in the Christmas in April hop. So I have wanted to participate in this hop before, and I just got too overwhelmed and committed myself to too many different projects. So I'm very excited that in April I have kind of cut back on the number of projects I'm attempting, and so I'm very excited to be finally making a Christmas layout for this hop. The papers that I'm using for this layout are mainly from the Bunny Snowy Serenade collection. As I say very often on my channel, they're definitely some very old papers that I had in my stash. So this is a winter collection. It's not a Christmas collection, but I had recently rediscovered this beautiful piece of snowflake paper in my collection, so I decided that I really wanted to use it for this particular layout. And I just thought it was so beautiful, so I wanted to make use of it, and I figured I can always add some Christmassy things to kind of point my layout in the Christmas direction. So I started my layout by cutting the piece of snowflake paper a little bit smaller. I would say a little over 1/2 inch off of each side. Then I cut out a very thin border, or I should say a piece of paper that made a very thin border. I made that out of white paper. And then I gutted that blue paper and I put that behind the other 2 sheets of paper. And I'm happy with the way that looks. I think that's a nice start. Now I'm cutting some circles. The blue circle, which is a little bit larger, that's an 8-inch circle. That's the largest that I could make it on the We Are Memory Keepers circle cutter that you just saw me using. And then the red circle is the next smallest size circle, and that was 7.5 inches. So I layer those on top of each other, and then you could see that I also cut a strip of striped paper. So now I want to cut another circle, and I'm using my Creative Memories circle cutter. I have not yet found, other than using like a die cut machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette, I haven't found an ideal way to cut out circles. I love the Creative Memories circle cutters, but they don't have all the sizes. And I love the We Are Memory Keepers circle cutter, but that also doesn't have all the sizes. So I try to use a combination of the 2 of them to get the circles that I want. I really just like to cut those out myself. I feel like it takes so long to set up the electronic cutting machines, and I just want to get down to business. So I like to have some cutting tools right there. So you can see that I layered all 3 circles on top of each other, and now I'm just distressing the edges just of the red and the blue circles. I did not distress the edges of the white circle, and I'm just going to put that right in the middle of the page. And then I just did a little bit more bending. This is a photo of me and my husband and my 2 daughters at Christmas a couple of years ago. I mounted that on some white cardstock and cut it down to size. Now I decide I'm going to make a banner out of the striped paper. So I am cutting a little fishtail, and then I like to bend the paper over so that the fishtail will look the same on both sides. And then I'm going to use that banner to kind of rest the photo on. And getting back to the papers, I feel like it's kind of funny that I chose winter papers because I have just a few winter papers and a few winter collections, but I have tons of Christmas collections. So I just tend to accumulate Christmas because I love Christmas. And I just heard another scrapbooker talking about this. I live in New York. We have a few months of winter. We definitely have a lot of snowstorms, but I don't tend to go out in the winter. I don't ski, and my kids are older now. We don't go out and play in the snow. So I don't really have like so many occasions to use winter papers, but I do find them to be really beautiful. So I have a couple of them, but I definitely don't have a ton of them just because I know that I don't have too many winter pictures to scrapbook. So getting back to what I'm doing on the layout, right now I'm attaching very thin strips of the striped paper to the top and the bottom. And I like the way that seemed to add a little bit of detail to the page. Everything else was kind of large in scale, so I liked the way those stripes were kind of small. I also included a tree on the right. That is an ornament from the Dollar Tree. The snowflakes are from Melissa Francis, and that large blue poinsettia is from Michaels. I was thinking of using these flourishes, but the color was really stark white, and all the other elements on the page are kind of an off-white, so it didn't really go together, so I decided not to use those. I also had that poinsettia that I took the center out of because I really didn't like the way that the center looked, so I added a snowflake to the center, and now you can see that I attached down the banner. I used my T-square to make sure it's straight, and I have that little Merry Christmas title. I'm not really sure where that came from. I had that in my stash. And now to add a little bit of something a little bit softer, I'm adding some ribbon. This is some Simplicity brand ribbon, and it's a pretty little flower, and it is the right color. It's kind of an off-white, so I thought that this would look good, just going all around the edge of the circle. And it does take a while for me to attach that. I use ATG adhesive. It's easy to position the adhesive, and then it also makes it easy to attach down the ribbon, which when I try to use wet glue, I find very challenging. But you know, everybody's different. Everybody has their own thing that they find easy to use when it comes to adhesive. I feel like you just have to figure out what works for you. I did want to mention that the ornament that I am going to be attaching down in a few minutes, that one that I said is from the Dollar Tree, it is a little dimensional. I know sometimes people ask me, like, what do you do with the pages when you have these dimensional elements on them? So although it's dimensional, it does fit into a page protector. I don't know what I would do with my pages if they didn't fit into page protectors. My whole goal is to create albums. So I do add dimensional things, but I make sure that they're not so dimensional that I can't fit it into my scrapbook albums. So now you can see that I have taken off that blue poinsettia. I just felt that it was too large, and then it kind of competed with the tree that's on the right. So I decided to just use the snowflakes and the tree. And I feel like that they all go together. In the background, I wanted to add a little detail. So these are little tiny buttons. They're like really teeny tiny snowflake buttons. So I'm cutting off the backs of those, and I'm just scattering them around the page at this point, but I will be attaching them down. And you can see that over on the left there, I have the Heavy Duty Gel Medium with a matte finish all ready to go. And I'm going to be attaching them down with that. I cut off the backs. The backs don't cut off all the way, but they still sit flat enough on the background that I'm happy with them. The snowflakes that you see there, those are the Melissa Francis snowflakes. I really love them. They're very detailed. They're very beautiful. So I have been purchasing these from the Melissa Francis booth at scrapbooking conventions for numerous years. And a few years ago, I went into the booth and they were on sale for $1. And I was extremely excited. There was nobody else in the booth, but I guess because I was filling up my basket with so many of them. There were tons of them, but I was picking out a lot of them. They had photo corners and all kinds of cool frames and things. So people started running over, and at one point there were about 10 people with me, and we were having a good time picking them out, and there was a big rush on these resin pieces. Finally, people were kind of like, oh, we don't really use these, and they walked away. But I created a rush on them for a while there. And I know plenty of scrapbookers who would have been just as excited as I was about that sale. But I think that the people who came over saw me, and they probably were not familiar with using resin pieces on their pages. Now I want to decorate the tree, since as I said, these are all winter papers and embellishments. I wanted to add some Christmas in there. So I decided to use these jewels and decorate the tree like a Christmas tree. The jewels that I'm using are from some of them are from Michaels. The gold ones are from Michaels. You can see off to the right, there's that set of jewels. I just discovered those in Michaels. They have a whole section of different like flat back jewels in the jewelry section, a few that were already in these divided organizers. So I picked up that set, and I have been getting a lot of use out of it. It has some white, some silver, some gold, and some black, both faceted little jewels in there, and also just some little domed shapes as well. In addition to the gold embellishments, I also put some clear embellishments. I use some beads from Joann. Those are round beads. And then I'm also using this little flat, it's almost like a little dewdrop. I got that from AliExpress, and I put one of those on the snowflake that's in the center on the bottom. But then I thought about it, and I decided that that should be the most prominent snowflake in that cluster, since it's in the middle and it's the largest, and I thought that it should have gold on it, since gold is the most prominent color. So I do end up switching that out. But you can see here that I'm just adding the gold and the clear little ornaments to the tree. And sometimes it was a little tricky because the beads would kind of fall all over the place, but I did end up getting quite a few mounted down. And again, I'm using the heavy duty gel medium to attach those. Now that I have all of the gold and the clear beads attached, now I'm adding some pearls. These are round red pearls. I got those from Joann as well. And I'm just adding a couple of them, a few to the tree, and then I'm going to add a couple by the snowflakes as well, just so that everything ties together. I don't want to have red in one area and then not carry it through to the other clusters that are on the layout. So I add a couple to those as well. So now I've added some red pearls to each of the clusters on the layout. And this is where I switch out that little clear kind of bubble for a gold embellishment, and I move one of the red pearls down just to kind of make it more interesting for the eye. I was noticing that it looked a little empty over the photo, so I decided to move the title from below the photo to above it. And then spell out the word family using these Echo Park Keepin Cozy banner letter stickers. And I bought those on Tuesday morning, and you couldn't just buy one sheet. You had to buy a whole pack of them. So I have about, I don't know, 15 or 20 of these sticker sheets. So I am set for life on snow-themed banner-shaped letters. Hopefully I can share a couple of these with a friend. I also included the date using those same stickers on the bottom, or I should say the year. And I wanted to add a few more little embellishments. So I was thinking maybe of this gold bow, but it just looked a little too bright gold. And then I found this off-white bow that I thought was just perfect, and I added one of those gold little embellishments to the center. And I also like to add embellishments to banners on either side of a banner, so I did that. And then since I had that heavy duty gel medium out, I decided to just attach the letters. I was feeling very confident that I wanted to put those letters there. Normally I would use my ATG adhesive just in case I wanted to move them around, but I was feeling really good about that. I also thought that it would be a nice little detail to take these super teeny tiny pearls that I found in my little box of white pearls and add a little pearl in between each of the little banners. So I just cut those apart. They're supposed to be like one strip, you could put them down in a line, but I cut them all apart. I added some to the title that says family, and I also added a couple on the top where it says Merry Christmas to that little flourish that's coming off the M. And then I had a few left over, so I decided I would do the same thing on the year on the bottom. So I put a little pearl in between each of the numbers. And those little pearls are the very last touch that I add to this layout. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I am very excited to be taking part in this hop, and I hope that you will take a look at all of the other ladies who are following along with this challenge. The links to their videos will be in the description box. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. And if you are not a current subscriber, I hope that you will think about subscribing to my channel. And I want to say thank you so much to all of my current subscribers. I hope that everybody has a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.